Like the Japanese interviewed me, and I told them we put the integrated circuit out, and we also gave it to you. And I told the Japanese this right at the interview at Roswell.
Give me a little laundry list of the things that, the technologies that are at least partially responsible from the Roswell.
Well, there's the number one was the integrated circuit. Number two in importance was laser, because I had some laser instruments also. Then fiber optics came out of this. The imaging devices, or night viewing devices, came from this. Some of the work we did on electromagnetism and the ICBMs, and came from this. We went out as normal research and development proposals, not to name something.
Yeah, you didn't put out a report that said, here's some alien stuff, figure it out.
We put our regular research and development proposal that came from somebody's brain. And also this was known among a select few, mostly combat officers, head to head. It came, we kept this among ourselves, because otherwise we were certain that they would have destroyed our organization, and we had a good organization. General Trudeau pulled it together just a couple years before.
The Earth and our society is not what most people think it is.
Without the proof, we can't, you know, there's nothing to move, there's nothing to grab at.
Well, there's no proof to God.
No, and most people in this world believe in a form of it.
Right.
Right.
Let me explain it real quick, if I may. You go back in time. Do you come forward in that same parallel? No. You're growing forward in a different parallel. You go back again, you're growing in, and you say, well, what's that got to do with this first timeline?
Right.
What has one wave got to do with the other wave?
Right.
It changes it.
It does ripple across.
It does ripple across, yeah. And that's the way reality works.
With
one timeline, only with one timeline.
So they're going back. They've made a change, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. They steal gold from somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's going to make it. That should make a difference to this timeline that they came from.
Well, it does.
They're never coming back to the same timeline. They're not coming back to my timeline. They're going back to a parallel universe.
Well, that's the way it works.
Certainly about 15 years ago, I, like most people, thought that this must be from outer space. But I long ago ceased to think that it is necessarily the only possible explanation. I think that there can probably very likely be other realities.
Where?
Here.
Around us, now?
Yes.
On a different time scale, you mean?
Time, space, framework, anything. Other dimensions, if you like. We don't have the vocabulary for it, so it really isn't worth talking about it.
Surrounding us now in this room?
Yes. I might be sticking my finger through many worlds when I do this. Eastern religions have always said that this is so. So that I do not think that we see the whole of reality. I think we have a very limited view of reality. This is the big problem for man, really, in exploring this thing and following up to know where they come from.
The eyes are wider space than ours.
Okay.
See?
Right.
The nose is smaller and a thin slit for a mouth.
I looked at his eyes and they were so penetrating that I had to look away.
He had pink eyes which were very piercing.
The forehead seemed to be a bit larger than, you know, the bottom of their faces as normal people you would expect to see.
But the fact that these beings had DNA that was found in the human genome, I think that is the actual secret of Roswell. I think that is a core secret of why the government will not talk about Roswell.
Out of those 4 different groups, one group looked exactly like we do. So much so that they could sit beside you in a restaurant, or in an airplane, or in a theater.
Next thing I know, I see a child. One of those ugly little gray things is holding a child up. And I said, no, that didn't come out of me.
And I found myself in this room, and I was lying on this stretcher, and this female brought a baby, and she sort of handed him to me. And I instantly said, this baby is mine. I know he's mine. She pulled the baby away from me and said, no, this baby is ours.
And so we waved. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get this object down onto the playing field? And as we waved, wondering whether we'd get some recognition and whether perhaps they would understand what we wanted, They waved back.
The
And
illustration.
the face is slim either side.
A lot slimmer.
Beautiful.
Very, very attractive, but at the same time, a longer face, a long nose, larger eyes, very well proportioned. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? How did you get in here?
Peter released his sample for DNA analysis.
The hair came from someone who was biologically close to normal human genetics, but of an unusual racial type, a rare Chinese Mongoloid type, one of the rarest human lineages known.
It was not like these humanoid creatures that I'd seen earlier. This looked like a human being, looked like a man in a blue uniform.
Sort of a polo neck jumper affair, like a ski top suit, in pale blue.